Welcome everybody to episode 5 of the CheckPoint Amigos. I'm CheckPoint. This is Santi. How are you doing today, Santi?
Dude, I'm doing amazing.
Yes.
I'm doing great. I have some games that I want to talk about.
Wow.
I've been diving into the world of Baldur's Gate.
Ooh, didn't we talk about like previously that wasn't your jam? Like you didn't have room, that you wanted to do Diablo? This is all the things I remember you were saying, Santi.
Yeah, so I was going to dive back into Diablo,
right?
But they made me restart a character for the new season.
It happens.
Are you... It shouldn't. It shouldn't happen. And we can dive into this, but as soon as I saw, I'm like, no.
Oh, you want to cut a promo? Cut the promo.
I needed my isometric view fix. All right. I was down for an isometric top-down view game, and I wanted to play Diablo, and they were gonna make me start a brand new character for a brand new season. No. You're not gonna make the last 15 hours. I know that's not a lot in the world of Diablo because I came in late before season 1, but you're not gonna make me toss away all those hours to start brand new just to artificially make me grind. That is an artificial grind. I'm okay to grind at games. You're talking to a legitimate 10th prestige in Call of Duty 4, dude. I know the grind and I appreciate the grind, but that is an artificial grind for the sake of grinding, and I'm not okay with it. But I wanted my top-down isometric view fix, so I jumped on Baldur's Gate.
All right, you picked it up, Baldur's Gate 3. I'm assuming on PlayStation 5. You have it right behind you, right?
No,
on
PC.
Is that a PlayStation 5 game? It's a PC game?
It is, yeah. I was just a little bit nervous. About the controller for a game like this. But maybe down the line, I could see myself jumping on the PS5 version of this.
If there is,
maybe down the line.
I'm sure someone in the chat's like, it's an Xbox exclusive, you idiots. Probably.
It's gonna come out. It's a timed exclusive. It's gonna come out to PlayStation.
Okay.
Either way, regardless, I'm on mouse and keyboard, and it is a weird game that took me a long time to get into, but I'm into it.
How much patience do you have for a game to all right, like 3 hours, 4 hours, if it doesn't hook you, you're out?
I am usually that way. I think
when did it hit you here?
I think it hit me on around hour 7. Like,
whoa, you gave it extra time. You get an extra time.
I did give it extra time, not because it wasn't hooking me, because I didn't find it fun, or I thought that the mechanics were dumb,
right?
Or I thought that the story wasn't picking up pace. It took me a while because it's a very unique type of combat system that I'm not used to. So I knew I was the problem in this situation, not the game. So I wanted to understand the combat system before I dropped it and said, no, I can't do this, because it's been a while since I've played a turn-based RPG. Like literally the only time that I do that is Pokemon. And Final Fantasy Tactics, like really like back in the day. So it took a while to get back into the mentality of turn-based Dungeons and Dragons dice tossing style of story progression and combat.
I'm surprised you gave it 7 hours. I mean, was it that the feeling of, hey, so many other people think it's good, I don't want to miss out on this game?
This was FOMO for sure. This was FOMO. A lot of the podcasts that I've been listening to seem to be individuals that were kind of in the same boat as me, where they felt like there was a little bit too much on their plate, and Baldur's Gate was going to be maybe a December game or a January game when things start to die down. But you know, when you get a 97 in Metacritic and the user scored is this universally highly praised by fans, I had to try it. I had to give it a chance.
I totally get that, man. I know that feeling about FOMO. I mean, it's racking up so many scores. Some people say it's game of the year. Is that in contention for your game of the year?
Okay, well, it's okay. This is interesting, right? Because I think the popular choice is going to be The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm a games media outlet, it's time to maybe put your money where your mouth is. If you're giving Baldur's Gate a higher score than The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, I need you to somehow rationalize how you don't pick Baldur's Gate. But I know they're going to go with Zelda. I know they're going to go with Zelda.
It's wrestling terms, dude. He's the vet, dude. The Link to the Past, it's been around forever. They're not going to put Baldur's Gate 3 kind of like an Impact wrestler over a veteran of the WWE. It ain't happening.
I agree. I agree. I'm just saying, put your money where your mouth is. If you're going to give Baldur's Gate a higher score than Tears of the Kingdom, I don't know how you can justify at the end of the year giving Tears of the Kingdom Game of the Year. Either way, I not play Tears of the Kingdom. So right now, it wouldn't even be in my discussion for Game of the Year. Relax, Nintendo nerds. I love Zelda. Typically, it's just the new style of Zelda games just don't click with me.
Let me back you up on that thought. I'm totally the same mind. I don't like the old new school Zelda games. It's just something about too much open world, too much freedom. I love the idea of kind of when the top downs, you needed an item, you go look for it. It was very simple. There was like 4 different areas you explored. You unlock a certain part of the map. You needed to get a book or boots and dash. Like Link to the Past is one of my favorite. I think Ocarina of Time is not as open mappy. It's linear-ish. It just you just explore a huge map, and that's what I really liked more. I just think this idea of it's more of a physics game that people enjoyed at Tears of the Kingdom, of being able to make whatever kind of vehicle or whatever kind of weapon wrapped around the breath, like the Zelda shroud, so to speak. I think that's what people enjoyed the most out of that game.
Yeah, and all power to them. It's just not my style of game. Like you said, Ocarina of Time, I don't think it's an open world game. I think the openness of Ocarina of Time is just a hub world.
Yeah.
That's slightly big, kind of like the castle in Mario 64, if anything. But yeah, Baldur's Gate is rocking my world. I would right now put it in my Game of the Year contention. And we're gonna get into this a little bit later on, but it does so many things really, really well, and it takes out a lot of tediousness that's in a lot of these types of games. Like, for example, like one of the things that I absolutely detest that would have been totally normal in a game like this is fetch quests.
I hate fetch quests.
Every RPG's got them. Oh, if you want the potion of the great Olimar Mountain, then you have to bring me 60 livers of the magic rabbits. It's like, dude, I don't want to bring you 60 livers of the magic rabbits. I already got 10. Do I really need to go to the other side of the world and find 40 more? Like, I hate that stuff.
That's why I never spend anything. I hoard everything in those games.
Yeah. So there's none of that in this. It's very straight to the point while also being like super deep and super complex. It's a game that I'm excited to continue to dive into more. And from what I understand, I have a lot more to go and a couple 100 hours left to play.
Okay, that's nice. I'm happy for you. For me, I just downloaded Madden 2024. So I'm excited to get into that. I've heard a lot of good things about it. But it's like that for Madden every year. A couple people like it, and then all of a sudden it just wears off the honeymoon phase. But from what I've seen, the animations look good. But for me, my favorite Madden of all time, I don't remember the number, but they added the vision cone. And the vision cone I thought was the most skill-based passing mechanic that was fair. But then I feel like after that, I kind of fell off of playing Madden. But I really am looking forward to playing Madden 24. It's like this every year. I play Madden, probably play it for like a week or two.
It's your popcorn game.
Yeah, and then I play like NBA. Because, as a sports fan, you're a Chargers fan, but I've always enjoyed playing as the new roster, feeling that new car smell, because it's the excitement of like, this could be our year type of thing. Or if it's not our year, then what can I do to make it our year? Has always enticed me, but very, very excited about that. One thing I want to talk to you real quick is I just saw on the news that Overwatch 2 is the most negative rated user score of all time on Steam. And what I just wanted to quickly ask you, it's not a topic, but is this the biggest blunder of video games in a while? I mean, the one that comes to mind is Halo Infinite not having Battle Royale. I felt like that was a huge blunder. But Overwatch 2 having so much negativity momentum ever since, losing Jeff way back when, the leader of Overwatch entirety. I just can't believe it. That's a headline I thought I would never see in Overwatch's future at any time.
I don't think it's the biggest blunder. I still think that's Cyberpunk.
That's true.
I still think it's Cyberpunk.
You're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
But isn't it funny that the second that they put the game on a platform that allows for user reviews, it just got bombed because you can't leave user reviews on the Blizzard.
Right.
What is it? Battle.net.
Yeah, Battle.net.
So yeah, like it was. I don't know. I was smiling from a distance. I'm not an Overwatch player, but I loved the fact that the Overwatch community got together and voiced their opinion so loud and so boisterous to let the world know that they are just not happy with this game. I'm not an Overwatch player, so I just don't have the ability to really be able to talk about their gripes. But I get it. I've been I've been on that same side of the coin with other games, and I just love the fact that the voices have been so loud that it's being picked up by news outlets.
So despite your love for John Cena, who appeared in an ad for Overwatch 2, that didn't get you going, oh, let me download it for John.
You know what? Had they reached out to me, one of the biggest wrestling content creators, and done maybe a little bit of sponsorship work, because I didn't even know about this, then maybe you could have bought my love. But it's not this time.
It's not John Cena. It's actor John Cena. He's like a agent infiltration thing.
Still, like once one of the boys, always one of the boys.
John, I appreciate you. All right, so for the people that are listening, one thing, quick update. There was a previous episode that I did not release, but you're gonna get a back-to-back, a double header, a double fun action there. But here's my topic, Santi, and I didn't get a chance to do it for a lower third, but. Basically, I like this whole getting to know you phase, and I want the audience to get to know me as a gamer, and hopefully they get to know you as a gamer. It's one thing that I think a lot of gamers don't talk about, and I feel like it influences a lot of us, especially our gaming choices. And these are the things I suck at video games. Just completely, utterly can't handle, can't do, won't tangle with, won't try. If I see it, I go, not for me. I know I'm gonna hate it. Could be the best game of all time. It could be one of the game of the year, like Baldur's Gate 3. I have to look at dice. So here's number one, Santi. And if you want to go ahead and give me yours off the top of your dome, by all means, share. It's the class, Santi. Inventory management. I can't do it, brother. I can't deal with HP points. I can't deal with this does that. I can't craft. I don't like trying to gather materials, birds of a feather. I don't enjoy looking at stats. I don't enjoy looking at paragraphs. If this one has a +1 over this one, dexterity, I can't do it. I love Elden Ring. I love the challenge of Elden Ring. I love the gameplay of Elden Ring. I don't like the idea of knowing what armor does best, or what do I need to carry into this kind of boss fight. That's just not for me. I'm not of the mental strength. I'm more of the Onimusha type. But I will have to say, what I enjoy about the latest Final Fantasy 16 is that there's things that they automatically, rings that you could put on your hand that automatically do set choristic things, if that's a word, cumbersome things that I don't want to deal with as a gamer, and I just want to fight. They have that option, which is a kudos to Final Fantasy 16. But inventory management, Santi, can't do it.
So, that's interesting. I mean, you kind of do some light inventory management when you play Fortnite.
It's different. It's like simplistic.
I get it. Because I was going to say, I think what the game that got me into inventory management, into a bit deeper inventory management, not to the way of like a Tarkov or something like that, was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, right? With the level 1, level 2, level 3 vests, level 1, level 2, level 3 helmets, things like that. It was still simple enough but complex enough where if you didn't know the system, you were going to get owned by in the late stages of the game.
Right.
But I feel you on specifically on like the +1 dexterity, +3 to strength. That's tough.
I can't do it.
I got used to it because I was a World of Warcraft kid. And if you were a World of Warcraft kid, this was just the norm. I don't love it, but I'm used to it. I'm used to it at this point.
It just like what I don't enjoy about the most is then when you have to do skill trees to unlock like a left hand, right hand. Now I'm not saying I dislike Souls games, or Demon Souls. I love that stuff. But when I look at Tarkov, for example, it just blows my mind how you have to have a certain casing or a certain shell, a certain clip, and then it changes the weight, and then the recoil changes. Like even like Call of Duty Warzone, and with all the tuning, it's gotten to the point where it's just like, why do I have to invest so much brain power? I just want to play video games. Now, I'm not saying that those games suck. It's just for me, that's what I suck at when it comes to it, Santi.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, you know, for those listeners that have not played Tarkov, because we've used it as an example, that's probably like the extreme for inventory management. So just to clarify, for both when you're in the game and outside of the game, like inventory management in Tarkov, like it's its own PhD.
The time of day, like the time of the week.
Like it's its own PhD to understand the ins and outs of Tarkov. But I feel you. I'll give you one of my biggest ones. All right. And I think this is a problem with me.
This is a safe place.
Thank you. I'm glad that this is a safe place.
Yeah, safe place.
I think I have seriously undiagnosed ADHD. And I think it's the reason why I can't play open world games, because if I see a side mission, I see an item on the mini map, I have to do it all. And it's the reason why I try to stay away from open world games, because I know I'm never going to progress the damn story. I'm never gonna get to the end, because there's all right, so I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I walk into a saloon, 5 side missions. Oh my gosh. Like the main mission's right there, but now I have to do all of this, and I have to do all of this, otherwise there's something wrong with me, like something is missing, and I can't progress. It's the reason why, if you go back at all of my trophies from when I was like a kid and didn't like fully understand the problem that I had, I've platinum Fallout 3, Assassin's Creed 2, like all of those games that had giant collectathons and so many side missions, I had to do them all. Now I understand that that's a problem with me, and I stay away from those games, which is why I haven't even played GTA 5. When I agreed to play Red Dead Redemption 2, it was a handshake agreement with my stream to say, I'm not doing any side quests, okay? I'm only doing main quests, and you can't be mad about it. Well, there's so many great story arcs that you're gonna miss. I know I'm missing out on them. But we need to have an agreement that if you want me to play Red Dead 2, I can't dive into old Santi anymore.
All right. So 2 questions here. First question: what was the game that you realized this is a problem for you? Like, what was the one?
Yeah, I think the first one where I realized this was a problem was Infamous 2. Because Infamous 2 and Infamous 1 as well had this mechanic where you can hit down the R3 button, and you would kind of send out like a pulse, and that pulse would show the mini map, all of like the shards, and there were literally hundreds of shards. So what I was finding myself doing, Sancho, was taking 5 steps, pulse.
Oh my Lord.
5 steps, pulse, like obsessively looking for every little item. And I realized at that point, I'm like, this is stupid. What am I doing? I understand that this is a side thing, but there's a problem with people like me where it doesn't feel like a side thing. I have to do it.
So besides GTA 5, is Batman Arkham Asylum part of that? Is like collecting all the Riddler trophies a problem for you?
It was a problem. Yeah. The Arkham Asylum games, I love that trilogy. I think that they were such fantastic games. But yeah, I had Arkham Asylum less so because it was confined enough.
Yeah.
But when it got, and even Arkham City, I'm like, this is small enough where I can live with this. But then when we got to, I think the third one, Arkham City, is that what it was? Or
Oranges?
What's that?
Was it Oranges?
I can't remember. The last one.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it was called anymore. But that's when the world got fairly big, and I was like, dude, I can't do everything here. And the thing is that open world games, shocker, spoiler alert, they're not getting smaller.
No, they're not.
They're getting bigger. And these game companies are fighting for your attention, and these side quests and these collectibles are the best way to do it. And it puts me in a deep spiral that I cannot recover from.
Arkham Knight.
Thank you.
But yes, I do agree with you about the open worlds. I think it's a very, very serious problem in video games that people don't understand, that I feel like video games are trying to monopolize our time, and they're trying to monopolize our digital space. There's nothing like a bloated video game that's hogging all your hardware space, and before you know it, you can't even do anything else but play that game. I mean, not to call out Call of Duty, but I got to. That's like over 250 gigs, and you're just like, why? It's huge, and that's why I applaud a game where it's like 20 gigs. I feel like it's fair, like real estate to have, especially for a multiplayer game. One thing I do want to piggyback on is I feel when it comes to side missions, I suck at side missions too. And I think just to echo everything you said, but for me, it's just a matter of I just don't have the time to invest into a 50-hour game. My time limit mostly for a game is like 6 to 8 hours. If you could beat a game in 8 to 10 hours, that's awesome. That's why I love Resident Evil 2, as I mentioned before on the podcast. But any kind of side missions, it's just not for me. Not for me. All right, here's one thing I do suck at. I love fighting games. I love the FGC. I could tell you one of my favorite arcades that I used to have back there is X-Men versus Street Fighter. I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2s. I think it's one of the best fighting games of all time. I cut my teeth on Mortal Kombat, and I love WrestleMania the arcade. So I just suck at long video game combos. It's just something about it. Tekken is like probably I have to grind to the bone to get King's combos, is chain combos. The like the longest one, I would always grind it. And I cannot do it. The best fighters I always pick are like they hit hard and they're probably like a couple buttons combos, but anything complex, anything that requires like Guilty Gear type of knowledge, I just can't do. It's just not for me, and I don't know if it's a me problem or I don't put in enough work. But I was pretty solid in Street Fighter 4, and I like Dudley, and he had some pretty complex combos. But if I see a long combo string or that requires like Tekken type input, I'm out. Can't do it.
I'm with you with on that as well. It's not often that we agree on everything, but so far so good.
That's why we're together.
The only fighting game combos that I'm willing, like the long ones that I'm willing to memorize, are Mortal Kombat fatalities, because they can get pretty wild. Like they can be like 6, 7, 8 inputs to get a fatality to work. But like my go-to character in Mortal Kombat, any Mortal Kombat game, has always been Miss Sonya Blade. It's always just 3 moves. That don't go beyond a 3-button input that I memorize, and usually like, you know, in a casual game with friends. For me, it was like for Mortal Kombat 10, my dorm room, that was enough to be competitive and be the best on my floor. But like, if you want to be good at these games, you gotta know the combos. That's why they say a game like Street Fighter, and I think this goes for a lot of fighting games, like they're super easy to pick up and play, impossible to master. Like they're really impossible to master.
Well, that's what I really enjoyed Marisa in Street Fighter 6, the newest one. Man, she hits like a truck, like just like 4 or 5 hits and they're like 50% gone. But I never really got into a Zangief to like a grappler. This wasn't my thing. Like anything that I had to involve a quarter circle or a full circle thing, wasn't gonna be able to do. But that's the thing that I really still suck at, is the long one. All right, here is this one, and we kind of talked about it before. But I can't do trophy hunting, man. I know that's what you did, and I know that's what you do, and you even, like, without my permission, mind you, looked at my trophy list. But granted, SanchoWestas is like is like the facade. It's the facing of me as a gamer, because the old school name was Hilltopper Sancho. Do not look up Hilltopper Sancho. I don't even know if you're allowed to. Go ahead. I encourage you, Santi. Go ahead and look up Hilltopper Sancho on the PlayStation 3. I just didn't really grind video games to completion. I feel that the best trophies are the ones that don't require you to go back or collect a lot of things. I enjoy the idea of platinum games, but once I beat a game, it's hard for me to go back into it. The Last of Us 1 was by far one of the most emotional games I've ever played. I didn't feel like playing it again like some of my colleagues did. I just feel like it cheapens the experience of how they designed it, like especially in linear single player games where like they want you to go a certain way, they want you to hit this certain moment, the cinematic piece, versus like, oh, I gotta look around this corner, around the bend, or go back to the beginning, or I gotta do a special thing to unlock a trophy. I feel that trophies are a way to manipulate a gamer to keep investing the time into that. It's the same thing that we're doing now. We're just being bought into the system, the ecosystem, to keep playing the game, but instead of being a trophy system, it's skins, it's battle passes, it's unlocking things that used to be in video games, like voice lines. Like, I really dislike anything that unlocks, like Apex. Oh, you get a nameplate. Oh, you get a stat. It's a certain stat that only reveals a certain amount of eliminations you got egg with a weapon. You get this, you get that. And it's just like, why even have something like that for me to think I am unlocking things when it's just things that should be introduced or part of the game already? Not a fan of trophy hunting, and there's nothing you could do to convince me otherwise, Santi.
All right, well, there's the combo breaker if we're disagreeing on something. So I didn't realize I was a trophy hunter before trophies were even a thing, because Call of Duty 4 and Call of Duty World at War naturally had that progression of, all right, X amount of kills, the camos, X amount of headshots. I still remember going, anyone that played Call of Duty 4 in the heyday, you know what I'm talking about, going into what was called a cage match, 1v1, changing your clan tag to, I think it was H4H, headshot for headshot, so that you could both trade headshots to get your fall camo.
That's pretty bad.
So yeah, but that's part of the problem that you're indicating, right? You're these trophies, these achievements, these unlockables change the way that the game was meant to be originally played, because now I'm over here boosting to get headshots when the developer clearly intended it for me to be, you know, a sniper in a ghillie suit getting headshots that way. But no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and I'm going to boost for these. And it's the same thing with trophies to a degree, where it like forces you to manipulate the game and play the game in a way where it originally just wasn't intended it to be played. You know, when I guess like for its original enjoyment, right? The Last of Us is a good example. You're not there to get X amount of headshots on clickers. You're there to survive and get to the next story progression. But if I'm trying to get that trophy, then all of a sudden, I think a good example is get X amount of kills with a pistol, for example, in The Last of Us. Now, rather than focusing on surviving, I'm focusing on finding ammo for this particular pistol so that I can get these amount of kills with that pistol. So I get it from your perspective as to like why it is annoying. But yeah, like there was a time where if I didn't if I didn't platinum a game, I hated myself. I legitimately hated myself. Just like, and the most egregious thing, two things. One, video game developers, missable trophies. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop with missable trophies trying to artificially inflate the playtime of your game. I don't want to play it again just to get another trophy. Two, branching story path trophies. We're like, you pick this choice, so you get this trophy. But if you want to get that trophy for the other choice, you got to play it again. Stop with that. And two, when you release DLC after I've already gotten the platinum, don't change my percentage from 100 to 70% because now there's DLC trophies. Separate DLC trophies. All right, start that movement.
Okay, so my question for you, I just looked at my own Hilltopper Sancho. There's nothing on that again. Oh, does that make me a worse player though?
Yes, objectively. It makes it makes you less of a gamer in my eyes. You're beneath me if your trophy level is lower than mine. That's what trophies are all about.
How many platforms?
It's a caste system.
How many platinums do you have then?
I think I have about 22.
That's not that bad.
Well, you gotta remember, those are all platinums that I did pre 2013.
Yeah,
I stopped. I retired.
That doesn't matter. I could catch you easy with 22.
Okay, go for it.
I could do like there's you get a platinums for smacking a jar of mayo over and over again.
Yeah, I have the abs pets platinum, where I think all you have to do is pet a bunch of kittens on the Vita for like 20 minutes.
Do you hear yourself?
I hear myself. I'm aware that is a problem. All right. But that's why I retired. I'm out of the game, man. I'm out of the trophy hunting game.
Okay.
I spent $10 on abs. I think it's cats or animals or something like that. And the game is just using the touch screen of the Vita to pet cats.
One of the last things I suck at, I have nothing else to say about that. One of the last things I suck at in video games, Santi, is creating character, man. I just can't do it. For me, I'm not all about it. I don't want it to look like me.
You're a default Andy.
I'm more of like, let me mix and match until I go, okay, there's one. You know what I mean? For me, when it comes to creating ones in video games, it's thick eyebrows, a jaw, black hair, and that's it. That's all I could go for. But it's just, I cannot, now as I find myself getting older and older, to me, it's not about what I look like anymore. It's just, let me just play this game because Lord knows what it's going to happen in from an hour from now in my house. Who knows who's going to need dad to do something. So I just can't do it anymore. I think the longest I spent in the creative character was in Mod Racers. If you remember that game from PlayStation 3. That's the longest I spent in Mod Racers. I think I made a Kobe Bryant one, like a really legit looking Kobe Bryant, R.I.P. Kobe. And it's just even in wrestling games, something that I would enjoy the most. I just do I cannot pick every single move. It doesn't like add to it. I just really focus on a finisher and how they strike, and maybe like one couple of grapples. But my finisher's always being the clothesline from hell. It's by far the best finisher in video games and all wrestling, because you could pull it off maybe 2-3 times when the special runs out. That's what I love, using the clothesline from hell. But I look at Demon Souls, I look at Elden Ring, look at Baldur's Gate, I look at Mass Effect, probably the latest Starfield. I probably won't be able to do any of that. You know, I just want to dive into it. Even like when it comes to Madden, I rarely put a lot of effort into like every single thing into it. And I think like the best systems are the NBA ones, where you could like literally take a picture of yourself. But those are the most horrid creations I've ever seen as well, because the technology just isn't there. Like I could literally have this kind of lighting, studio quality lighting, and get the most horrendous looking basketball player ever. But I'll still be on the Spurs. But the whole point about it, that when it comes to creative character, for what I feel, I think that the notions of how it's done, I think it could be a little bit more creative, for lack of a better word. I'm thinking like, maybe what if a Saints Row did create a character where it was part of the story? Like, I don't want to just like go into it full stop. Here's the menu. You're literally going to pick every single thing, and then we're going to restart the momentum or from the cutscene or whatever. But what if a video game, say it was a Guardians of the Galaxy, and you're the new Guardians of the Galaxy member, and imagine if you're looking at a lineup and you get to pick who you want to be based on that lineup, and then you can hear the characters quip about your selections, or you have an alien mod, and then it those kinds of things. I think Cyberpunk has a great creative character thing post after you do so. I just think that there could be more creative ways to making yourself in a video game than a full stop menu that we've been doing for 30, 40, 50 years, it almost feels like.
Yeah, and I think it's going to keep going actually the way that it is. It's because they just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Like you can get into games now where like I remember like, all right, here's the face default. Like here's the 5 face templates that we have. Now it's like, all right, here is a meter to change the width of your nose and change how far your teeth are apart from one another. Like it's getting ridiculous. Just a side note, because I have an African American friend who has always brought up a great point. Something that they do really poorly, like every video game.
The hair.
Is African American hair. They cannot get it. My hairstyle is in every game.
Yes, it
black, a little bit up, all right, with a little bit of gel to front, is in every game.
Yeah.
But my African American friends can't recreate themselves in video games. I just wanted to toss that out there for my friends that are listening. But I'm obsessed with making characters look like myself. I don't know why. I think maybe it's a vanity thing. It stopped a little bit. Now I'm more of the type where I like to make now I like to make myself look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially if there's cutscenes. I love seeing my grotesque creation on a Mass Effect cutscene or something like that.
Right.
If it's a fantasy game, I've learned to just not even bother, because you're going to be wearing gear, you're going to be wearing helmets, like there's no point. But usually like a sports game, I will always take the time to make myself look like me. I always take time to make sure Vincent Chicago looks great.
All right, what position on football?
Quarterback.
Okay,
all
quarterback.
Right? I'm trying to make the money.
Okay, NBA.
Point guard as well.
Okay, wow. For me, center.
I like to have the rock.
NBA, you're a center. I love to be a center. I love being a trash man. Give me all the boards. Give me all the blocks. Give me the dunks.
Yeah.
Give me that duty. I think it's the Tim Duncan to me. And then for football, I'm always like a free safety cornerback.
Yeah, that's the quarterback of the defense, I'd say, or a middle linebacker.
Yeah, I love just playing that position and trucking somebody. So those are the things I suck at. I understand that it limits me severely into all these great games like Baldur's Gate 3, Santi, but that's just me. I'm hoping that I let the audience, if there's something down below in the YouTube video that you're watching right now, let us know what you suck at in video games. It's okay. Safe space.
And hey, you mentioned Baldur's Gate 3. I think that's a nice transition. Into our topic. Yeah. So this it's a bit of a topical situation, but I think it also brings a wider conversation around the development of video games in general. So this all started off with Baldur's Gate being universally loved and being universally praised, not just by critics, but universally loved and praised by fans in the audience. What the biggest things that people seem to be praising this game for is that there is not a single bit of microtransactions. The only purchasable custom item is a cape that does nothing to your stats. That was part of like the bigger edition of the game that comes with all the extra stuff. There is it is a complete game from beginning to end. It came out with little to no bugs. It didn't have a giant day one patch. In other words, people are praising this because it's a complete game. And it's kind of crazy because, 2006 Santiago, if I told him that people were universally praising a game because it's complete, he'd laugh. Like, what do you mean we're praising a game because it's complete? Like, shouldn't games come out complete with everything ready to go out of the box? Your full experience is right there. Turns out, Sancho, that many developers are concerned that Baldur's Gate has raised the bar too high and is causing developers to worry about fan expectations about their games. And look, I don't know if I'm not a game developer, but when I hear that, all I'm hearing is the world's smallest violin. Like, I'm sorry that a game raised the bar and is giving gamers what they're paying for and is giving them the experience that they're paying for, to the point that, wow, shocker, they're happy. They like the fact that they're getting a complete experience, that they're not getting nickeled and dimed, that there isn't a battle pass, that there isn't a new season where all of their progress is going to be lost. Diablo 4, I already roasted you for that at the beginning. But kind of mind-blowing that sometimes 2 + 2 = 4, Sancho, where people get a complete game and people say thank you. And I don't think it's crazy that we want to expect that from developers.
I believe it's interesting that we as gamers come from a generation where we had that experience, luckily. I think there have been a lot of shortcuts that have been made in gaming lately, just to save the bottom dollar or to make it more functional or to make it even operational for some developers, that they have to release something that literally, if it's not released and they do not get the influx of cash, they cannot patch it properly. There's been plenty of those situations where they're like, yeah, we had to release it just to make some of the money back we put into said game or franchise. And even there's options for licensing, things of that sort. I still think that gaming's in a weird space, and I think that the reason why you find it's so refreshing is because we are so just kind of just rained down by all of these things that we slowly have said yes to with our wallets, sadly. And, we're like, wait a minute, we don't have to pay for a game. It's for free. You're sure? I could just play as you want. Oh, yeah. But if you want to have the newest cosmetics, you're going to have to pay. And so that continues to be the norm now. And there's even kids these days, generations, that were born into that free-to-play world. They don't know a world where you buy a game and every character is earnable by unlocking the character through said challenges or through said feats in the game. They don't know to play a new game plus or to get another like a new open world part of the game that you have to do certain things. Or what I'm trying to say is there was no options for DLC. You had to wait for the sequel. And at the same time, if there was a game that was just broken, it was just broken, it was just janky, there was no way that anyone could fix it. So you had to put a complete package. But Santi, I think what you have to understand is there are games that will withstand the test of time, like a Resident Evil 2, I keep bringing up, like a Super Mario 64, that are already complete packages. But we have to remember, even gaming at that point, there were still a lot of bad eggs out there. And I just don't think that Baldur's Gate 3 being so great, sure, it's going to put pressure on people, but it's not going to put the pressure that a dev already feels about, oh my God, we're releasing a unfinished game, but we kind of have to type of beat. I just read it as more of like, man, I wish we could put that kind of a package out there for our fans, because that's what we want to do. But sadly, in this culture and gaming, we cannot do it as easily as they can.
So do you think it's a lack of resource type of situation, or do you think it's a lack of a proven strategy, because the new strategies work better today to bring in the dollars, like the Warzone strategy, like the Fortnite strategy, like the new Diablo strategy? Do you think it's just that there's pressure from those up top to go with the new model that works, as opposed to putting all your eggs in one basket, one video game, and hoping that it does Baldur's Gate 3 like numbers and just does gangbusters?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I feel that everything that you're seeing now has been influenced by mobile games a long time ago. Mobile games are low entry point type of commitment to the dollar. Some of them were like $2 or even for free. And then what you would do if you are a developer, you will hope that, quote unquote, a whale, someone who is financially well off, could put so much money that will continue to fund your game if you find multiple whales. So what you could say is that gaming right now is shifting towards that. They know that they're going to have a solid community. They know they're going to have fans of a said franchise. So if they say, for example, not saying that this is ever going to happen, but if the Last of Us factions said, we're doing a battle pass, I'm day one lining up for it. I am day one doing everything premium, because they know that the loyal fan in me will at least produce X amount of dollars. Just throwing it out there. It's the same you could say for Madden 2024, or even worse, NBA 2K. My favorite sports franchise of all time is the 2K series for NBA, but it has diluted itself into everything behind paywalls aggressively for VC. You wanted to have LeBron James on your My Team a couple of games ago, you could keep him forever, and when you got his card, now he has on a contract. Now you have to pay money to keep him on a 6 to 10 day. And it's like, why am I investing my real money, $200, $100 more, into this ecosystem that will continue to, with lack of a better term, bleed me dry? So that's the thing about it. That's why people are happy about Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 could be an 80 game and people will still be happy about it. But the question I want to ask you, or they will still have the same feelings of being refreshed. The question I want to ask you, do you think a developer cares about a finished product more so the bottom dollar?
Oh, the bottom dollar, like I would imagine, right? Like, no, these people are humans, right? They have families to feed. They've got mortgages, they've got bills, and Metacritic scores ultimately don't pay any of those things at the end of the day.
Some I've heard
they can.
They get bonuses based on them. I've seen some studios do that.
That's true. That's very true. But if a game sells 0, that bonus isn't going to cover anything, right? So at the end of the day, like, maybe more so the publisher than the developers care about the bottom line more than I believe than the end result. I mean, we can look at a for example, we can look at oh my God, CD Projekt Red, right? Yeah. They were a company that for a long time had the good graces of the audience, and because of having fantastic complete games like the Witcher franchise, right? Witcher 3, if you look at the sales of Witcher 3, they are bananas. It is sneakily one of the highest selling games of last generation, and people don't actually know that it's one of the highest selling games of last generation. And that was purely from fan goodwill. It didn't sell amazingly, like it didn't sell GTA 5 numbers right off the get-go, but it sold for its entire life cycle because everyone knew, if I buy The Witcher 3, I am getting a good complete game. All right, but then we look and we fast forward to what happened with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077. I forgot the year already. Anyways,
77.
It's come out, it's widely well known that everyone in that at CD Projekt Red knew that that game wasn't ready, but CD Projekt Red, being a public company in the European Stock Exchange, there was a lot of pressure to release this game to meet certain fiscal and financial quarters. And that's what led to the debacle of Cyberpunk. So there are a lot of strings that are being pulled. But it's interesting that that Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red went with that route when they clearly had a formula that worked amazingly for the sales of The Witcher 3 that they could have easily replicated for Cyberpunk.
Do you think what I want to say is that being Baldur's Gate, because if you're talking about Baldur's Gate as the reference point for this topic and for the article,
yes,
do you think that Baldur's Gate, a game that last was seen in the year 2000, mind you, I don't know how long this game was in development, but I gotta say, like, do you think it's because it's not a Call of Duty, it's not a Madden, it's not a Fortnite, there's not a lot of pressure to come out? Like, hey, take your time, come out when you come out. But if Madden said, we are going to take 2-3 years off of Madden, we're going to allow you to, we're going to update the rosters for 2024. We'll be back in 2027. Do you think that the audience is willing to wait for a complete package versus I still need this out now? Because on the flip side, I know I'm jumping from game to game here, but Grand Theft Auto 6, it's been 8 years, games like that. And we are all cool with it being patient. We're like, go ahead, dude, take your time. We know that you're going to be awesome when you come out. So that's my question. Does Baldur's Gate have that same reference? So we're like, take your time. We don't need Baldur's Gate 3 right now.
Well, I don't think that the Baldur's Gate situation was people being like, oh, we know you're going to put out an amazing game, take your time. I think this is catching a lot of people off guard. I wasn't excited for Baldur's Gate 3 when it was coming out. I think that this is a more similar situation to when Fallout 3 came out, because there was other Fallout games before that no one knew about. Like, I guess, like, comparative to the amount of people that bought Fallout 3, most people, their first jumping in point to Fallout was Fallout 3, because it was like the first really truly accessible Fallout game to the wider audience. And I think this is the situation with Baldur's Gate 3.
So quickly, how do you feel about Fallout 4? Are you going from 3 to 4? Did you feel that was a complete game? Because Fallout 4 had a lot of, or Fallout 76, I'm sorry, right?
Yeah.
That one had a lot. Did you feel that one was an incomplete package coming out?
I did feel like it was an incomplete package for sure. It was missing. It's a much better game nowadays. Like, if you go into it, it's actually a pretty decent experience. But the problem with that game, and I know we're jumping all over the place here, but hey, that's what the podcasts are for. The problem with that game is that they tried a completely different style of storytelling. Fallout 3, Fallout 4 was all about the NPCs, right? Mm-hmm. NPCs were the life and blood of that game, and NPCs didn't exist in Fallout 76. Like, there was no life to that game. And that's the updates later on. That, like, shockingly enough, the biggest updates were to add NPCs to that game so that there was a narrative that could be told, as opposed to just a narrative being told through computer logs, which is what the original Fallout 76 was like. And that was unacceptable, considering we were so used to the storytelling from Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, and to change it basically to text-based and computer logs, unacceptable. But I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be a situation like The Witcher, where it's going to be the first jumping off point for people for this franchise, just like me. And I think this game is going to sell for the next 10 years because people know that when they buy Baldur's Gate 3, that they're going to get 200 hours. It's a complete experience. You don't need to buy the extra this, the extra that. You're not going in spending money to spend more money. You're going in to play a game from beginning to end.
What's interesting is jumping to another game, Battlefield. When that came out, everyone says, don't play Battlefield at release. Wait 6 months or a year later. Then it would be the Battlefield we all want it to be. And it would be good. But I feel that more and more games don't have that time anymore. They're going to be gone before you know it.
There's too much competition. There's too much competition to lean on that.
Right. And I feel like a lot of developers are banking on that. Like for me, when all these developers go into alpha or betas or open betas, I feel they're like kind of crowdsourcing a little bit more interest. Not like, sure, they want to see how the game runs and how it works technically, if there's any kind of server issues, but it's more like, oh my God, we sold X amount of battle passes, or we sold X amount of founders packs. We could actually put more into this season, or we have enough for a budget for 5 seasons. It feels like with this battle pass, games as a live service era, because that's where we've been seeing a lot of games who, on the flip side of that article, an incomplete game, right? These incomplete games come in, they see how long they survive. If they survive, they keep going. If they don't, they're gone. So my question for you, Santi, is can you accept that gaming's more and more will have incomplete games going forward? Or is it give me more Baldur's Gate, we deserve this?
I lean more towards that side. If you want me to not be on that side, then make every game free and then nickel and dime me when I'm in your ecosystem. But if I'm paying I'm a Canadian, so if I'm paying $79.99 for NBA 2K, and then I'm going in, and then the expectation is for me to spend a few hundred more to get the full experience, because I'm a Madden Ultimate Team guy, FIFA Ultimate Team guy.
Oh man,
yeah. So like I'm one of those guys that's put a significant amount of money into those games. If you want me to be okay with that experience, if you want me to be okay with the incomplete game, if you want me to be okay with all the nickel and diming, make the ecosystem free for me to jump in. That's why I have a lot of respect for Destiny 2. Destiny 2, all kinds of expansions, all kinds of microtransactions. But if I want to jump in to play Destiny 2, it is free. And then it is up to me from that point to decide how much more I want to spend in this world. Because if I'm spending $80, I just don't think it's okay for me to get the proper experience of this to have to spend hundreds more. And that's the world that we live in. Madden, FIFA, any of those games, I don't hate the fact that you're nickel and diming me because there's this trading card experience in there. I'm willing to jump in, but then why am I paying $80 to get in the first place?
I would say, like, as I grow older as a gamer, I feel that no, like, okay, I know what you want from me. No. And that was the latest that I felt about Marvel Snap. Once you start seeing the strings that you're being pulled on as the puppet, that's like a moment for you, like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. I literally went on vacation to Mexico, and it was a vacation I haven't had in a long time with my wife, and I played that game for 6 hours on the beach. You know, just being sucked into that carrot system of ranking up, of playing, of getting cards and things of that sort. But I told myself I will never buy the battle pass in this game. It's a great game. I never spend $10 on something. I didn't spend a dime. But then when I started hitting the ceiling of like, you should probably spend $10. You're still losing because you don't have this card that's available in this battle pass. Then I felt the puppeteer at work, and I was like, I'm out. And that's the reality that we're in games these days, that I think we need to support the games that are complete. Besides Baldur's Gate 3, I'm going to give you time to think about this. What was the last game that you felt that was a complete package? I feel like a broken record. And if you haven't played this game, please, it's Resident Evil 2 Remaster. That is the most complete experience I've felt in a long time. In terms of a game that is kind of newish, Until Dawn. What another great game that was a complete package that I felt was very fun. It was fun to replay. It was fun to just experience. Didn't feel slanted or cheated out in any kind of way. And it was like once I played it once, boom, I'm good to go. For everything else, I felt Titanfall 2 was a complete game, was a complete experience, even from the single player to the multiplayer. Even though the multiplayer didn't last that long, I feel that Titanfall 2 is pretty solid. And then I would say like the last game, and I'm ignoring like the big ones like The Last of Us, the God of Wars. Like we all know like those are complete experiences, the Horizon Zero Dawns and things like that. I think that as someone who's played multiplayer, I would say that when I'm trying to think of a specific battle pass that was like, dude, that was really good. They would have to be Chapter 2, Season 4 of Fortnite. That one had a Marvel season. It felt like a complete package because it ended with a Galactus event. So it had like a complete thing. So me investing $20 into that battle pass, I got great Marvel outfits and skins, and then it ended with the Galactus event. I felt in a modern era, that was a complete battle pass season experience.
Yeah, I'll keep it modern, and I think for all of the gripes that it gets, I think Fortnite is a complete game because the experience isn't necessarily worse or enhanced by how much money I put in. It is universally the same experience all around. It's just about, do you want those extra cosmetics? Do you want that cool back bling? But you can get the full experience of the game without flying down on Shenron from Dragon Ball Z. It is the same experience through and through. So I do believe that is a fully complete game. That battle pass and the microtransactions are there for those that want it, but it's not there for those that need it, right? And when I say need it, I mean like, if I don't get this, like I'm at an actual disadvantage. Like you mentioned in Marvel Snap, there's no need for it. It's all a want for it. And I think that's a great system of microtransactions, just like Fall Guys. Fall Guys is another one of those games that I praise. I praise for how they handle microtransactions. I don't buy skins in Fall Guys, but when a WWE skin comes out or a SpongeBob skin comes out, I don't tell myself, man, if I don't get this, I'm going to have a terrible experience. I tell myself, I'm a SpongeBob fan. I want to run around as Squidward. That's so funny. That's so cool. But my experience doesn't change if I don't make those purchases. Those to me are complete games that have such low level entry points at $0. And I praise those games all day, every day. The other games that I like to praise are the games that give me a complete single player, co-op, multiplayer experience. That trifecta is pretty rare. I think maybe let's look at something like Resident Evil 5 did it pretty good with like the mercenaries mode, playing co-op with Shiva, and obviously the single player experience. So like Resident Evil is honestly like pretty darn good at providing that full gambit as well. Uncharted, I know we said like none of the big ones, but like Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 2, I really like the multiplayer experience for those games. And there was no need to pay microtransactions to get a better experience in multiplayer. So yeah, I mean, like if for the sake of those free-to-play games, I think Fortnite and Fall Guys just do it brilliantly.
Okay. And I know for the people that know me, but hear me out. This is why Naughty Dog's multiplayer got delayed, because they were a complete package. And it would probably last 3 months, 4 months for the people that wanted to play it. But the people at Destiny were like, we cannot release this free to play with this amount of material. We need to go bigger and then maybe be not necessarily incomplete, but still have enough in the tank. You need to like take this complete package and stretch it out maybe. Yeah. And that's going to be the sad part. I don't want to see that game stretched out. I don't want to see, it just blows my mind. And And there's so many games that are guilty of this. You unlock a different color in your top half. Yay! Like that's to me, it's like unfair. To piggyback what you said about Fall Guys, I love that you could at one point you could earn crowns. You could turn into actual outfits or a golden version of that. Question for you is, what is the most like? What game, doesn't you have to give the amount, is the most you spend amount of money post purchasing?
Madden 25. Yeah, Madden 25, aka Madden 13. It was a weird year. It was the 25th anniversary of Madden. That was when Madden Ultimate Team started just blowing up. Yeah.
Who did you want so badly that you?
Everyone. I wanted to have that entire legendary roster. I wanted to have every elite player, because folks, a Madden Ultimate Team, all the Ultimate Teams, they're pay to win. Right? You can earn players, or I could spend $200 on a bunch of packs that are just going to give me an awesome team. Like, that's just it is pay to win. It really is. I could be amazing at the game, but if my overall rating for my team is 76 because I'm trying to play the traditional way and grind it, I'm going to get absolutely shellacked by an 8-year-old kid that barely knows how to play the game because he's got 99 Joe Montana over there tossing dimes to Marvin Harrison.
Wow. I touched a nerve. I touched the memory.
You did touch a nerve. But I'm out of that world now. I don't do microtransactions anymore.
2024.
I'm sure.
Right around the corner, Friday.
No, I'll play Madden. Don't get me wrong, but I just won't go into Ultimate Team. I just don't spend money on microtransactions anymore unless they are purely cosmetic and fun things that I can get behind, like Fall Guys skins. But anything that is a necessary evil within the game, I just won't play your game.
Okay, fair enough, man. Well, the complete package is all around. We have things that we suck at, and that's episode 5, Santi. How do you feel about that?
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
You know what? Before we go, I held off on it because hilariously, it's an incomplete game, but it was complete in my eyes. Metal Gear Solid 5. Every Metal Gear fan knows that there was a whole act that Kojima wasn't able to finish. But holy man, that game was awesome, and the multiplayer was fantastic. It was like an 80-hour, beautiful open world experience. As much as I don't like open world games, I was willing to do it for Hideo. Anything for Hideo.
I would love for you, Santi, and for the people who are watching. We appreciate you on YouTube, by the way, and the people that support us on TikTok. Watch my Metal Gear Online gameplay on YouTube. Man, I was nasty in it.
Yeah.
I was a nasty gator, dude. I was pretty solid. I was faulting everybody. Man, I did some work.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check it out. Well, it's a fun episode, my man.
Fun episode indeed. If y'all want to support us, be sure to sub and follow us on TikTok at CheckPoint Amigos. Follow us at CheckPoint Amigo on X. They did it, dude. We talked about it. What are they going to call it? Now we're the X.
It's X.
Oh, my God. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much. This has been the CheckPoint Amigos, the pod for the gaming people. Peace.